We're just doing a trip from Chester to Leicester on Diaries of a Salesman. This is my first video, so I will try not to waffle on. But today I had a meeting at 10:30 AM on the 15th of February 2023. I've just left the meeting now and I'm doing my journey back to Leicestershire from Chester. It's the first time I've been to Chester. Quite an old town, right on the border of England and Wales, if you're not familiar, if you're not from the UK. And I'm quite impressed, in all fairness. The weather seems to be turning a bit grey, which is quite standard for this time of year. And I think there's going to be a possible 2.5 hour journey back to Leicester in the UK. With my videos, there'll just be narrations of me travelling around the UK in my current role of a salesman. I've been doing the role for about 12 months with this new company I work for, but I've been doing this for the last 12 years. I actually very much enjoy it. It gives me a chance to get out, travel the UK, meet new people, sometimes stay in some nice hotels, sometimes stay in not so nice hotels. Could be quite lonely sometimes, but the driving gives you time to think, plan, sometimes rehearse your presentations to your customers before you get there. Put on some podcasts maybe, but I just like the break. So some of the YouTube videos I see of people driving around, they tend to be more based on people driving in really poor areas or dangerous areas of America, the States. But I mean, in the UK we don't really have those sorts of ghettos or massively deprived areas. There are still areas like that in the UK, but not to the scale they are when you see them. But this is my first venture into doing videos. I've called them Diaries of a Salesman or Journeys of a Salesman across the UK, because that's what they are. For those who can't hear my car, it's actually a hybrid car, so the engine's very, very quiet. Which is nice. I'm probably doing, my car's doing about 46 miles to the gallon, which is reasonable, or some people would say that's really good. I chose to go hybrid this time because A, tax reductions, but B, it gives you that bit of extra power, distance if you're travelling up and down the country. Previously I had an Audi diesel, which was a really good car, but I wanted to change to something more environmental, economical, so I chose the hybrid I'm driving now, Audi hybrid. And I go to Scotland, I go to Kent, I go to Southampton, Audi I'm driving, this hybrid Audi I'm driving, does the job really well, comfortable, quiet, and has a bit of power for those journeys you're trying to get home to in the rush. So yeah, always go by Audi if I can. So today's meeting I had with my prospect went well. As usual, they're very price driven. I'm not going to go into what I actually sell or what I cost wise, but I work with distributors and end users, so I have a good mix of customer base. I like going to see end users because they tell you exactly what they need or what they think. It gives me the ability to then tell them what they could have and what solutions we can provide, rather than rely on a distributor who will just tell you what they think the customer needs. They're not the experts, and you miss that really close relationship when you work with a distributor than direct to an end user. So today was an end user, was direct, and I had a tour of the facility, which was great. It's a heavy manufacturing environment, so quite dirty, a lot of heavily male workforce, and I think every guy likes to go into those environments. It takes them back when you see the large equipment or the large tooling or the large infrastructure based around these sites. So the customer was quite impressed with our solution, which I presented, and as standard, the customer has looked at other options, but he feels that my company's option would be the best at this point. Again, price being quite important because of the economy and the environment we currently face, the challenges we face. So a lot of companies will be fixed on price. However, my company offers a solution which has a great support package too, and fundamentally the customer wants a solution which is going to work, which is going to be right for them, and going to do exactly what it says in my presentation. The next steps from today will probably be by the end of the week. Being that we're on Wednesday today, is do some sort of indicative pricing, configure the solution a little more so it's more accurate to what the customer requires, present the pricing and more in-depth solution to the customer via Teams. And then I would then ask the customer for them to visit our site to look at the solution, more hands-on, in real time, just to get an idea of the application and the interface solution, to have a feel for it. And again, it gives them the ability to ask more questions to more technical people and explore other potential for the solution for them. I would say from the point of view of first contact to them coming to our site for a hands-on demonstration will probably be 7 days, provided we have the resource on site to accommodate. And from the discussions today, customer wants to make a decision within the next 2-3 weeks. So quite rapid, quite a quick turnaround. And again, what helps is our product is quite well known in the industry. So the customer has had a feel for it already in terms of speaking to other people and looking online, looking at the demonstrations we have online. So fingers crossed, we will have a deal completed by the first part of March. And again, typically with dealing direct, you sort of get a quicker turnaround. I believe you get a quicker turnaround, especially if the customer is quite aware already of your product. But sometimes when you deal with distribution, you have to go through several people to get sign off, or sometimes they want a statement that works. So yeah, there's a longer process dealing with distribution. However, distribution has its benefits in terms of their resource, what they can apply to the selling of our product, their customer base. I then act more of as a consultant rather than as a salesperson, because I can't massively influence a distributor in terms of them selling more of my product, because they're not there to sell my product directly. They sell other products. So the relationship is a lot more important with distributors, or I would say just slightly more important than the end users, because I'm reliant on the distributor giving me the information to manage my forecast, my pipeline for the year. Whereas when I deal direct to the end user, I know exactly what the end user, the stage they're at. I know a lot more accurate the value of the opportunity for my pipeline. So yeah, there is a trade-off between working with either, but it's quite enjoyable because you get to see a lot of different people, different customers, different partners. As you can see, the weather's coming in a bit bad now, so it's time for the windscreen wipers. We are still in the latter part of February in the UK, so this is quite normal. 9 degrees. Looks about 6 PM, but in fact it's only midday. We've had a good week so far weather-wise. It's been a lot of sun. For those people who are not from the UK or haven't travelled to the UK that much, this part of the country towards the North Midlands, you get a lot of freight, a lot of lorries, a lot of industry in this area, and sometimes a lot of problems on the roads from these lorries because they can't go that fast and they sometimes clog up the system. Speed limit for the UK is 70 miles per hour. I think a lot of these lorries can only do like 40 or 50. They have restrictors on them, so you have to change lanes and move across quite often. location for the role I do, the job I do. I can get to north and south probably within 4 hours north to 3 to 4 hours south, so I've got a good location for where I live and where my office is. But I'm actually from South Wales. I don't live there no more, but I've been living in the Midlands for about 7 years now. But my accent is still the same, I hope, back home in Cardiff. We're just coming up to adjacent to Warrington, which is by Manchester, Liverpool. I think more Liverpool than Manchester. But from Warrington, then we'll start going southwards towards Stoke. On the M56, which is a major road network, or road system, sorry.
If you enjoy the E-flat nocturne patch.
Which then will go on to the M6. For Birmingham. In my current role, I spend a lot of time in the north of England, which is quite good because before I got this position in my current role, I didn't venture much past Liverpool or Manchester. But now I get to see the right north of the country and Scotland, which is beautiful. Stunning scenery and views, and it's a great drive. You have to catch a certain part of the day though, otherwise you can get caught up in some nasty traffic.
Listening in rain.
Sorry, that was just my wife calling me. Apologies for that. My wife used to have a job where she travelled quite often as well, so there were times when we didn't see much of each other. My wife was a cabin crew on a plane on a major airline, and she may spend some days travelling, whereas I would be all day travelling, so we wouldn't see each other sometimes for a couple of days, which some people probably would say is a good thing. Well, we're still together, so that was okay. Drawbacks to being on the road as a salesperson or any sort job, which is on the road constantly, is buying rubbish food from service stations. So you end up paying high prices for really rubbish food. And then you start putting weight on, you start getting annoyed, you start getting tired. So what I find is stopping maybe every hour and a bit if you're on a long journey, just to have a rest, focus, get some water, get some liquids down you. Just try and avoid rubbish food. Take some food from home which you've pre-made. Will help. But yeah, that's one of the real drawbacks, which is frustrating whilst being on the road, is going to service stations for rubbish.
Tell you what, look at the UK weather.
You get to see all the sales executives charging their Tesla cars up in the service stations on their laptops doing work. That's what happens when you go pure electric. You seem to be charging your car quite often, whereas you go hybrid, you have the ability to get home in one go rather than stop every 200 miles for a recharge. So we're just coming up to the turn off for the M6 south to Birmingham. Again, this road could be really, really tricky in certain times of the day, so you've got to time it right. If anyone has any questions for me, because I want to make this is my first video, so I want to make a lot more of my journeys around the country, different parts of the UK and Ireland. Any comments on places that you've been to, or you want me to record where you like, areas you like, drop them in the comments below the video. Some people ask when I have meetings around the country, is it best just to do them on Teams or just do phone calls rather than spend the time, effort and cost going to customer sites? Well, Teams is great for filtering out potential low opportunities or low value opportunities, but with the solution that I sell, that my company produces, we should be on site to see customers, where we can have a feel of the environment, where we can establish what the customer's trying to achieve properly. There's certain things you can't get through a call or through Teams. So yeah, there is a fine balance between visiting customers and the size of the opportunity. I also think customers prefer when you come to see them and you give them the time and the attention that they need, because bear in mind, they're not the experts on what they're trying to do in terms of the solution they're looking at. So they want to feel for what, the information I give them, the advice I give them, and they ideally want somebody who can just manage it for them. So I much prefer going to customer sites than doing Teams calls. As a salesperson, it's your job to filter the opportunities which deem necessary to go to site anyway. You wouldn't need to be told from a manager or whatever. You would this point, you should have the knowledge to understand what's in the interest of the business and the customer to go to site. If I had my way, I'd probably go to see every customer physically. More of a direct approach, more of a consultative sale rather than a old-fashioned car salesman mentality. I do think in the last 4, 5, 6 years that has been a different approach to sales, to selling. There's various books out there to the types of sales approaches, but I think gone are the ways of aggressive sales by volume, in terms of calling 100 people and knocking 100 doors, and the efficiencies and the conversions are so much lower in the old ways than being more consultative, being more of a rounded salesperson. I think it gives you more ability to improve revenue streams by being more consultative than just being a salesperson. Do a sale, move on, do a sale, move on, do a sale, move on. Because customers want to be treated as important rather than just being a number and somebody to get you your numbers. You see on LinkedIn every day a different salesperson telling everybody how they should be selling and what are the best methods and the best processes to adopt. I think everybody's different. Every salesperson is different. You find out where you get your most success from, and you build on that. Anybody can sell. It's not an art. As much as people think it's an art, it's not an art. You can be taught to sell. I always think of it as being when I'm a customer looking to buy something. Who am I more receptive to? Am I more receptive to somebody who's jumps on me and bombards me with 100 miles an hour information, tells me that's the best deal I can have, this, that, and the other, the pressure sale, or the person who comes over, acknowledges me, gives me concise, clear information, and goes the extra mile. I know that's a cliche, but it's very important, because I think a lot of salespeople, they're just so focused on the sale rather than the support, the after service. In my role, I have to be a mixture of all things, because I'm not just a pure salesperson, I'm a mixture. I have a obligation to support customers as much as I am to try to sell, cross-sell, whatever. Get to know your customer. Not just on a business level. A lot of customers like to tell you what they like doing, what motivates them. They become almost like an extension of your friends, your group of friends. But maintain professionalism all the time. That's the best recipe. UK. It's more famous these days for a big theme park called Alton Towers, and I spent many a summer there as a kid. On the Oblivion and the Nemesis. Stoke, it's somewhat north of the Midlands. I think it's classed as on the edge of the Midlands. Midlands is a huge area. I spent a lot of my time working across the Midlands. Quite a lot on the motorway where you have people vaping, driving and vaping, and then open their windows of their cars.
My choice.
There's a huge trail of smoke coming out of the window where they're vaping, and it looks like a steam train. I've got a guy next to me now who's just done that, a taxi driver. Sometimes you see him smoking their vape inside their car, and it's all steamed up in the car, all smoke. They can hardly see driving. That's crazy. I can't see how that's not as bad as driving with a mobile in your hand. You can't see nothing in the car. On the bridge, maybe with a camera, checking people out. You get that quite often in the Midlands. You get a lot of these transport police or cameras or whatever on the bridges, catching people out, going speeding, or just general criminals who've maybe stolen cars or whatever. But the Midlands is a very built-up area, dense, populated, so you see them dotted around on the bridges every so often. So as we drive south towards Birmingham, Stoke will be coming up on our left in a short moment. Weather's still pretty grim, grey skies, although there looks like some sun is trying to come through to the west. I'm not sure if that's, yeah, if the sun will be over there this time of day. The M6 lately there's a lot of roadworks, a lot of motorway maintenance being carried out, where I go down to 50 miles per hour because they're doing some sort of maintenance. However, majority of the time you never see anybody actually do any work on them. But it's coming to the point of the year in the UK where a lot of the councils will need to spend their budget for the year by end of March, before their new budget comes out in April. And if they don't spend their budget, they lose their budget for the next year. So you tend to see a lot of local councils doing repairs and maintenance on roads across the UK between Jan, Feb and March in order for them to get their budget for the following year. It's been the same for many years. But again, I can't see any workers at the moment doing any work on this road, part of the M6. Just bollards and signs everywhere. They were implementing the smart motorways in the UK for the last 5-6 years, but I do believe they're trying to come away from smart motorways because they actually do not work. And all the smart motorways really do is tell you to reduce your speed at certain times of the day to try and allow the flow of traffic to be more fluid, rather than everybody going the same speed, 60, 70 miles an hour to get home. They've now tried to improve the flow of traffic with these smart motorways, but they do not work. Having lived in the Midlands for the last few years, they do not work at all. So again, I can't see any workforce doing any work to the roads, do anything to anywhere. We've just been given this reduced speed limit and these big massive road signs for nothing, as usual. Actually, oh my god, there's a few workers, but they're not working, they're walking. It's a shock to the system to see actual workers on the motorway when they should be. So we're just coming up to Stoke now on our left. Stoke-on-Trent. You'll see these big yellow on the left, these big yellow posts, cameras on. Again, for those who are not from the UK or not familiar with the roads in the UK, these are what you call average speed cameras. There's one to the right now as we speak. These average speed cameras will monitor your speed over a distance and then send you a nice little letter in the post, a fine, say you've exceeded the 50 mile an hour speed, average speed limit. And again, they're generally in areas where they're doing maintenance or upgrading roads. But yes, if you are from the UK, you are very familiar with these posts or these camera posts. They're everywhere. An hour of this trip today, my first voyage on the Diary of a Travel Salesman or Travelling Salesman. This trip is taking me from Leicester to Chester and from Chester to Leicester. So I'm just en route back to Leicester. I'll be stopping this after 1 hour today, because I need to get some food for my rest of my journey back. And hopefully you've enjoyed it. Not much to see on the this part of the M6 motorway. The weather's been rubbish. But just to give you an idea of what a salesman, a travelling salesperson, or a field salesperson, or a territory salesperson, wherever, just give you a feel of what their job is on a day-to-day basis. No matter which part of the world you're in, the role is relatively the same. The difference is obviously the size of the area you cover. I'm a UK salesperson, so I cover the whole of the UK. But you get territory salesperson who will just be managing a patch of area. But I do like to be covering the whole of the UK because it gets me to see other parts of the country I wouldn't normally see. I get to test hotels and to see if they're nice hotels for future trips for my wife and my dogs. I get to see attractions or landmarks. I get to do a lot of work in the car as well, to be fair. I get to take a lot of calls, follow up on leads, obviously all hands free, all legal. So my car is my office, and I always take with me an emergency couple of shirts, ties. I keep them in the car as well, so in case I have to stay over. I've got a travel bag in the boot to keep with me at all times, in case again I need to stay over or see a customer really early or late. With my company as well, if we have to book accommodation, we have a portal we go on, our own portal, where we can book rooms at last minute or in advance to stay over. It's really, really easy. I also have a Premier Inn card, which I can use if need be, but with the portal, as long as I got a Wi-Fi signal, I can get online anywhere. I can book a hotel room. I can book flights if I have to go to Ireland or somewhere else. So yeah, I mean, everything I need is in my car. Which is the whole idea of the job, is for me to be able to maximise my spread where I can be, whether it's a customer needs some technical help or there's an opportunity or a sales inquiry, I can get to that customer within a relatively short time. My hours of work are 8 a.m. to 4:30 p.m. Monday to Friday. Although sometimes my commuter will get me to set off early or I arrive late, but this is all part of the job. This is not a problem. I do what the customer requires. The job is very flexible, and I have a great team of people, a support network to call upon. And yeah, the role of being a travelling salesperson, it beats the mundane or the monotony of an office, being stuck at a desk, being stuck in front of a computer, just doing the same thing day in, day out. Whereas this one, you get to see a lot of sites, you meet different people from different backgrounds, and it's much more rewarding than it would be just to be on I believe, than to be at an office or to be on the telephone all day trying to make 100 calls a day, and maybe I may have one lead. I much prefer to plan my weeks and to plan my visits myself. I try to get to see customers between Tuesday and Thursday. Mondays and Fridays being a lot of admin I need to normally catch up on or to do for the week. I tend to book my meetings a week or 2 weeks in advance. I always double check that my meetings are still going ahead prior to me leaving. There's nothing worse than being halfway to see a customer or even being on a customer's site and they've not scheduled you in properly, or they've had to go home ill or whatever. It's a massive waste of a journey. So my advice would be always to plan your day, even though it's already been booked prior. Plan your day, the day you set to go off, and just to make sure that everything is still on schedule for your visit. As a salesperson, make sure you got your laptop or the right information for your meeting. Again, I can't see there's been anything worse than going to a meeting, travelling a long distance to see a customer and not have the right information with you. That would be a huge schoolboy error. Going forward, I'm going to try and do a video once a week to see how that works. If people enjoy my videos or enjoy my boring voice, then I'll do more in the week, depending on where I'm going. I'm not going to do the same video for the same trip. That makes it pointless. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this hour, 60 minutes of my narration and driving skills on the M6. And just for people again who are not familiar with the UK, the M6 is a real main road, a main network part of the country. M meaning motorway and 6 being the number 6. I think there's 6 major motorways all going towards London. There's probably a lot more. I don't want people who are a lot more knowledgeable than the motorway system than me to start abusing me, but most of the M roads go towards London. The main ones go to London, to the M25, which is why you see a lot of freight, a lot of volume of traffic on these roads, on these motorways. I'll also do some videos when I go to Ireland and I hire a car and I'll travel around Ireland to see customers. That should be in the spring. But yeah, I hope you guys have enjoyed this trip. Anybody got any sort of requests they want me to say, or places to go to whilst I'm visiting my customers or whatever, just let me know. And if I got a customer visit in that area, I'll do a drive-by or wherever whilst I'm over that area. Anything I've pointed out on this call which is factually incorrect, please don't bother trying to correct me. I haven't got the time or energy to respond to that. But there's plenty of people, what I'm doing today, salesmen driving back and forth to see customers on the roads in every country across the world today, all feeling the same pains, trials, tribulations is what I go through. So I've already got a warning light on my tyre pressure just come up on the car, so I'll have to get that checked out in the garage when I get back. So yes, thank you for your time. We are now coming up to Stafford and Burton, so we're halfway home to Leicestershire, and I'll see you guys on the next video. Take care from the Diaries of a Travelling Salesman.